What's up, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of All Elite Nerds, the Metalcore Nerds podcast that talks all about AEW. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning, so if you can hear me twice, which I don't think you can, just let me know in the chat if you can hear me twice. I don't want that echo. But today I have an awesome group to join me in this first episode. I have my friend and fellow guest of the show, Clark. What's going on, man? Doing great, man. Happy to be here talking about wrestling. Honestly, I was very surprised by it because most of my wrestling episodes have been the least downloaded, which isn't like a bad thing. Wrestling is kind of a niche thing. But after what AEW has been doing and after that pay-per-view happened, I've never had more people hit me up to be like, yo, if you do a wrestling podcast, hit me up. Which is cool. I was super surprised and stoked by it. So that's why I started to do the show. Why not? Because I announced that, and other people were like, "Yo, I want to be on that," and I'm like, "Cool, let's do it. I'm gonna do it next month, so let's do it." And I figured it was a better way to talk about a broad AEW subjects rather than just recap the pay per view. There's a million recap podcasts that are probably way better at it than we could ever do. So go check out Post Wrestling if you want to recap. They're the best. They're the best. Also joining us today, we got my man Bill from Modern Empire. How you doing? Hell yeah. And this, doing great. Doing great. And this one, it's an exciting one to see this perspective. Alex was actually at All Out, and he's going to talk about that in a few. But Alex, welcome to the show. You were supposed to be on a couple of months ago, but some things don't work out sometimes. Life happens. But welcome to the show. Of course, man. Very excited to have everyone here. Everyone who's joining us, AEW, AN baby in the chat. Very nice. I like that. I like that. If you're joining, thank you for joining live. If you're listening to the podcast or video version after, thank you for doing that too. It's very awesome. The number way you can support the podcast is to subscribe, follow on social media, leave a review on podcasts. That's the easy, free ways you can help the podcast. It's easy. It takes 2 seconds. Just go do it if you haven't. Just do it. And then if you want to support monetarily, there's some awesome merch on metalcorenerds.com if you want to check it out. If you're a Marvel fan, there's me drawn as Mephisto, Metalcore Mephisto. He's always been there. It's just been me the whole time. When I show up in a Marvel movie, you guys are going to be freaking out. So if you want to do that, you can do that, or you can subscribe on the Twitch channel if you want to do that. Or we got a Shang-Chi live review with my wife Sam being on it. That one's going to be wild, so probably going to do that next week sometime. So yeah, if you want to do that, cool. If not, just go do the free shit. So first off, little icebreaker question for everyone. I want to know everyone's AEW background. So, have you been in from day one? Have you joined just recently? Were you a WWE fan who finally had enough and were like, I'm going to try this other thing? So, Clark, I think I know your answer. I think you were in from the beginning because we had a podcast about this a few months ago. But for anyone new, lay on your story about AEW. Oh. That's fair. Patience. Patience. Hell yeah. Bill, what is your AEW journey? Hey, wait one sec, guys. There's been the audio is messing up again. Hold one sec. Could you not hear him the whole time, guys? Weird. Here, we'll be right back once. Or wait, is that why? Can you guys hear them now? Sorry. I think something went weird there.
Uh,
You guys should be good now. I see you guys coming through.
okay.
Bill, start over. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, all good. So yeah, like I was really disconnected from wrestling. I want to say from I don't know early 2000s to like 2014. You know, it was a huge gap. And then I heard about the network. You know, and it came out. Like I downloaded it. I was like, oh, I can watch Royal Rumble '99. This is amazing because like I love that show so much. And and that was around the time, Brian Danielson was, making his way, to WrestleMania 30. I watched 30, on the network, and I was like, dude, this is like a new era of WWE. Like, this is amazing. Like, they have me back now.
Right.
And then after, Brian wins the title at, Mania, he's put into a program with Kane, and I'm like, huh. And it's like a bunch of like horror movie tropes and everything, like, thrown in there. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? But whatever. I like, I kept watching WWE kind of casually, through the 20, tens and everything. And then, once I hear about Cody leaving WWE and then, kind of taking his stand to, start something better. I could just like kind of see it through the social media posts and everything, where he was just like, I know this business, like I grew up in this business, and I'm going to start something better. I'm like, all right. I was like, it was like two sides of me. I was like, that's awesome, but also good luck with that, like, because I don't know how you're going to compete with this fucking monster that's WWE.
Right.
But he fucking did it. Like he did it.
Yeah.
And like that Meltzer tweet too, like you can't sell out 10,000, like, a 10,000 cap arena, for an indie show. And they did that. And I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And so
Yeah.
I just stuck with it. I just like kept following them. I follow all those people on, social media. And I'm just like, I mean, the first episode of Dynamite was amazing. They had me hooked, and it's been consistent through the last 2 years, which is like the most important thing is consistency. Like I talked to someone the other day, like I was like, dude, All Out was fucking amazing. They're like, yeah. Did you watch Raw like the night after? I'm like, yeah, it was fucking terrible. Like, no, 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 no. It was pretty cool. No, it was terrible. It has not been good for like the last how many years? I can't
Yeah.
remember I think the last good Raw show that I can remember was when Seth Rollins did that gauntlet match for like an hour, like it ate up an hour of the show. And that was awesome. But I was like, why can't we do more stuff like this? I want to
Yeah.
like both shows, but WWE is making it very hard for me right now.
Yeah. I feel you there. That's kind of how I was. This All Out has really been full circle for me, wrestling wise. I watched when I was a kid, like most of us did. Love the Hardys, love the tag matches, Love Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock, all that. Like almost everyone has that experience. And then I got out of it when I started playing guitar and skateboarding and stuff like that when I was a teenager. And then about 10 or 11 years ago, when the CM Punk documentary came out, and I heard straight edge wrestler, and I was like, huh, I want to check this out. So I watched that, and that's what brought me in. So it was kind of after the whole Summer of the Punk thing and everything like that. So I kind of caught the end of CM Punk's career, which kind of sucks, but I've watched all the matches, the John Cena, Money in the Bank, him cashing in, all that stuff. He became like one of my favorite wrestlers instantly. And then it's when NXT came along, I was very into that. Loved it. Mostly because a bunch of my friends showed me like New Japan, Ring of Honor, stuff like that. And NXT already had some big indie guys there. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll watch this. And I had a really awesome opportunity. There's a local fed called 2CW. And one of the first ones I went to, it was Dudley Boys versus the Young Bucks. I had no idea who the Young Bucks were. I went to watch the Dudleys because I was like, I watched these guys when I was 12 years old on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I got to saw them wrestle twice. It was awesome. They lost the first time, and then the Bucks beat them for the 2CW titles the second time. So I saw the Bucks wrestle live so many times. Very lucky to have seen them wrestle live. I saw him wrestle tagging with AJ Styles right before he debuted in WWE, and tagging with Kenny Omega in the same show. They wrestled 2 matches in the same show. So
Nice.
I've been lucky to be able to see these dudes from... They were big then, but it was right before Bullet Club became like huge in the US. So I kind of saw the Bullet Club US infestation, if you will. And like you guys were saying before, as soon as Cody left, he joined the Bullet Club like a month or two after he made that list.
Yeah, dude.
And as soon as that happened, they start getting t-shirts and Hot Topic. They get their own Funko Pops. They're saying, hey, we're millionaires and we're not in the WWE. All this crazy shit. And then the tweet about them getting the selling out a 10,000 seat venue by themselves. They did it. Then AEW happens. So I was in from the jump because I was already following these guys. So I was like, might as well. And as soon as AEW was starting, I was barely watching WWE. It was just like, it just felt lazy. And all the people that were over, they almost got forced into being over because the crowd was so into them. They had to. Kofi, Dan O'Brien, CM Punk, etc. Like they had to put them in those,
Sean, if I could cut you off just for a quick second here.
Of course.
So the first time I actually got really invested into indie wrestling was when the Hardys were rumored to come back to WrestleMania in Orlando back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was like right around the time I was following the quote unquote dirt sheets, and so like, that Saturday before the Sunday, in Orlando, they're saying like the Hardys wrestled the Young Bucks, at Ring of Honor, and I'm like,
yes,
yeah, there's no way the Hardys are coming back. Like they just did this show. There's no way they can like contractually do this.
And they did a ladder match too, or something. Right?
Yeah, that was nuts because they did a ladder match
too.
then. They did a ladder match then, and then when they debuted at WrestleMania again, they did a ladder match then. So back to back.
And so at that point, I was like, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, and think like, yeah, the Hardys are never fucking coming back to WWE. Like, there's no way. So when they actually came back to WrestleMania, I literally fucking cried. That was the first time I ever cried in watching wrestling in my entire life. But that pop, that reaction, like the New Day's reaction too, I'm like, oh my God.
That was good shit.
This is like a cathartic experience. Like, this is so amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was epic.
So I guess like to answer your question, 2017 is when I really got into the indie kind of stuff, and that's when I kind of was like kind of following along with like the people that were integral with AEW.
Awesome. That rules. Yeah, that moment was an amazing WWE moment.
Yeah,
Can't take that
I
away.
still think it's like their one of the top three, maybe like the number one moment in their last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
feel
mean,
like it
what
would be
else?
like
What else?
Daniel Bryan and Kofi winning at WrestleMania, and then
That
probably
was
like the Hardys return, and that Edge return at Rumble was honestly
It was
amazing.
tight. It was tight.
It was very cool because I didn't watch the Rumble because I was already totally tuned out of WWE. But once I saw that clip go to Twitter and I watched it, I was like, that's fucking cool because you can see how stoked he was, and
He's about to cry,
me seeing
dude.
anyone who
Insane.
cares about something they're so passionate about and doing, it just makes me emotional.
Yeah.
So seeing him come out there and just be so fucking stoked was everything. It was because I remember. We'll talk about Daniel Bryan later, but too bad Edge didn't win the championship though.
It's like that's what AEW is built on. It's fucking passion and like emotion, and like these guys and girls that are there, they just want to work and do what they love and not be restricted with some corporate bullshit,
Yeah.
And that's why I love AEW, because they can just be themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They can just they are themselves. It's yes. So Alex, this will be two-parter because it's going to go right into our next segment. So I want to know how you got back into wrestling, how AEW, the love for AEW happened for you, and then after you answer that, we want to hear what the All Out experience live was. So, but first, what brought you back into this wacky world of half-naked men flopping all over each other?
Yeah, so I mean, I was a huge wrestling fan growing up as a kid. My dad was the main source of that. But then I guess it was like my junior, senior year of high school, I fell out of it because I started getting into music a lot more. And it wasn't until I want to say 2016, maybe 2015 or 2016. It was the year after I graduated college. Me and my best friend, who I met in college, just happened to stumble back across wrestling again. I remember I went over to his house and I think he had a Ring of Honor show on or something. And at that point, I mean, I was out of wrestling completely. I didn't know anything that was happening in WWE. I didn't know anything that was happening on the indies. Needless to say, I mean, I didn't pay attention to the indies when I was originally in. I had no idea that the indies were a thing. It wasn't until my buddy got me back in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this existed. So this was 2015, 2016, I want to say. And it was Ring of Honor. I remember that's the show that got me back in. And then we watched NXT. We watched NXT's Takeover. Well, it wasn't called Takeover back then. They were calling it Arrival. I think that was like one of the first
the first one, right?
Yeah, I believe it was the first one. If it might not have been Arrival, but whatever it was Sami Zayn versus Neville for the NXT Championship.
Oh, that was the second one, I think, or third.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I can't remember what it was called, but I remember that match. But it was after that we started, like, him and I were in it, man. We were in it hardcore. We went to like local promotions. I remember we traveled to Concord, North Carolina to see Best in the World, Ring of Honor Best in the World. And then that was leading us, that led us into, oh yeah. Then that led us into New Japan. We started watching New Japan stuff because we saw the Bullet Club and Ring of Honor and like, who are these guys? We need to start watching New Japan stuff. And that year was leading up to Wrestle Kingdom 11, which was the first Okada versus Omega match. And I think that pay-per-view sold it. That sold it on us. That's what got us into it so hardcore. And then after that, we started watching like all the Bullet Club shit. So that the Bullet Club was the reason why we got back in. That was at the time it was Omega, the Young Bucks. We just missed Finn Balor or Prince Devitt. We just missed that era of Bullet Club. So that got us into it all over again. And then when we started hearing all these rumors that these guys in the elite of Bullet Club were going to have this indie show to sell out a 10,000 cap room. We're like, we have to be there. We have to be there. So we were at All In. We went to All In.
Damn.
Yes.
Wow.
We were at All In.
Damn.
Easily one of the greatest memories of my life. Had a blast with my friends, two of my best friends. Neil, Rahat, I think you guys are watching. Hello. We had a blast. That started this like annual thing. So in 2018 was All In. 2019 we went to the first All Out, AEW's All Out. Obviously 2020 got canceled because of COVID, so we went to this year. But yeah, dude, AEW has been a part of me and my friend's life since the very, very beginning, since the beginning of Omega and Young Bucks in the Bullet Club.
That
That's
must
awesome.
have been sick seeing the damn Marty Scurll and Okada match. I think I'm jealous.
It
of that
was
for sure.
Everything on that pay-per-view was so
Yeah.
awesome. It was a great show. Even like the stuff that people weren't really, really excited about, like Rhodes versus the NWA guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Aldis.
Nick
Aldis.
Aldis. Thank you. Yeah, that match was definitely more of like your old school, like going back to like the territory era of wrestling, where it was just all storytelling. It wasn't really all the flippy dippy crazy matches like you'd see currently, but it was definitely a awesome storyline match. That whole thing was amazing. And of course that leads up to this past weekend at All Out, which just it's a week later and I still can't wrap my head around the shit that I saw that weekend.
Makes sense. Like, that's incredible though. I'm jealous that you've been to every once a year. Like, that's a really cool tradition.
Yeah, we go.
Damn.
We make it a thing now. Me and my best friends, because my one buddy Neil, he lives here with me in Nashville, but my other friend, who's the one who got me back into wrestling, he's back in Virginia. So we usually got a yearly trip where we all get together and go to it.
That's awesome. I love that. I need to know, how is that ending segment live?
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
So think about how you would think it would be. Like, you guys are watching it on TV and you saw how awesome it was and how loud the crowd reaction was on TV. Live, multiply that by 10. I mean, it was just
Jesus.
It was
I feel like the
disgusting.
videos don't do it justice. Like the videos,
No.
like the crowd reaction, don't do it
No,
justice.
I went back and watched like highlights and the YouTube clips and everything.
Yeah.
And it just didn't hit me the same way that it did when we were live. Like, obviously all week, all leading up to it, you knew Cole and Danielson were going to show up. You knew it was going to happen. Like, it was the worst kept secret.
Dude, Adam Cole, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Cole was definitely an unexpected appearance for me.
Okay,
I did not
yes.
think it was going to happen as soon as it did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Assumed that Brian was going to come in. But
So,
I was thinking, I'm like, okay, Cole is here. This is amazing. But how do they follow up with this?
yeah. So
Not Brian.
leading up to it, yeah, you're right. It wasn't. I didn't expect to see Cole there because I didn't think his 30 days was up. But there was always that feeling that he was actually gonna, like, he was coming. You know, he was coming. Daniels was coming. The thing that people probably don't understand is, even though those two pops were fucking astronomical, they were huge. The pop that Minoru Suzuki got was almost equally as loud. Like,
Really?
nobody knew
Yeah,
Suzuki
true.
was showing up, right? So when he shows up, his name shows up on the Titantron, everyone goes crazy, right? That pop wasn't that loud. It wasn't until he gets to the Kazi Ninare part in his theme song where it was
Massive.
almost as loud as Daniel Bryanson's entrance.
That's
was
so
That's
sick.
crazy to me. That's crazy for me to think about because I guess maybe mainly because I am very not educated on New Japan at all.
Mm.
Like, I follow like a couple things, but I was like, holy shit! Like, this AEW crowd is like really popping for fucking Suzuki.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they went nuts. There was these 3 guys. Actually, there's 4 guys in front of us who were like, they were hard marks. Like these guys were into it hardcore. They were crying. It was awesome.
That's so sick.
That rules.
It was
Testament to
awesome.
AEW now. That's a fucking testament. Like what I was saying before, like we are wrestling fans again.
Yeah.
Just the Cole and Bryan Danielson thing, you know, throughout the entire show, I was talking to my buddy Rahat, and I'm like, yo, if Cole shows up, it's got to be like after the Britt Baker match, like he's going to come out and congratulate her or something, right? We never thought it was going to be all the way at the very end, and that they were going to 1-2 punch us with Cole and Danielson like that. I mean, we were standing there. Adam Cole came out, you know, his music hit, awesome music. We start freaking the fuck out. And we're thinking, oh my God, Cole versus Omega, this is going to be awesome. And then they flip the book on us, and you see him super kick Jungle Boy. And then the crowd explodes even more because now the Elite's all back together again.
I was stoked when like the Young Bucks kissed him and shit. Because like when I bought the pay-per-view and I saw that, I was just like, this is so like NWO-esque, you know what I mean? Like,
and I remember them doing the kiss to Cole. I remember when they went all the way back. And they had it was a Ring of Honor, I think, is when Marty Scurll joined the Bullet Club. They did that kiss with Adam Cole at that time as well. I'm like, this is such an awesome throwback, such a cool callback. But I mean, I've been to many wrestling shows. I was at WrestleMania 32 in New Orleans, or maybe it was 33. Like I said, I was at All In, All Out, this All Out. I mean, I've been to a lot of things, but this past weekend show, there's nothing can top it. I mean, it was just phenomenal.
How is the tag team, like the crowd's energy, like the ebb and flow of the tag team match for that?
It was a roller coaster. It was exhausting. You know, I mean, shit, dude, I grew up Catholic and having to, you know, stand and kneel throughout the entire fucking mass. It was like that all over again at All Out, because all you did was stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. It's like as soon as you sat down, Ray Phoenix starts climbing the cage and everybody's back up again. It was insane. That match was easily, in my opinion, that's the greatest cage match ever. Not the greatest tag match, but the greatest cage match.
One thing I want to say about Cole real quick is I went to an NXT show in Phoenix back in like 2018. And I had matched with a girl on Tinder literally hours before that show. And I just like shot by shot. I'm like, hey, do you want to go to this NXT show with me in Phoenix tonight? And she goes, yeah, that sounds fun. So I literally hours after matching her, I pick her up from her house. We go to this, you know, to the venue downtown Phoenix. And I was like telling her the entire time, I was being such a fucking mark, bro. I was like,
that's fine.
I cannot wait to see the Undisputed Era. I want to see Adam Cole live so badly.
Oh, she was so just annoyed with you, wasn't she?
Dude, she was all about it because she said to me, she's like, my son loves wrestling, like WWE and NXT. I was like, oh, perfect. So you kind of understand like what's going on here. And she and like when Adam Cole came out, I just stood up and I was like, baby.
Yeah, like, that was.
She just like looks at me like all weird, like.
Like
part of the show. It's all part of the show.
The Adam Cole Bay pop was super loud.
That was loud, bro.
You know that thing.
Yeah, the boom.
I love that they included. The song is called "It's All About the Boom."
Yeah, genius. Like I stood up and I did the boom, and she's just like, "You really love this dude, huh?" I'm like,
"Yeah,
a fucking legend."
Yes,
it's wrestling. Understand it, please.
The way that she reacted was the entire time my fiance was watching All Out with me, like this past weekend, bro. Because like, she was not feeling good, so she was laying down on her bed, and like the best TV we have is in my son's room, and he was busy using it. So I'm just like, all right, we're watching it in here. She was like, oh, do we really have to watch it? I'm like, look, you can go to bed, but I'm watching it. So it's like one or the other. And then she kept getting she kept getting like engaged with certain parts, and then there's certain parts she was just like, so wait, who is this again? Why does he do that? I'm like, it's just
Just
it."
shut up and watch, woman.
You know, dude, it's so funny.
Part of the show.
Oh
Just
my
let
god, but
them-
dude, she loved the fucking the Lucha Brothers entrance like a lot. She was like, that's
That
Yes.
entrance
insane.
was
That
dope.
was cool.
Mikey killed it on that too.
So let me.
Oh yeah,
let
that was
me-
sick.
Let me give you an insight on everything that was happening in the arena. So going back to the Jericho match, I don't know how it played out on TV with you guys, but the Jericho entrance was a complete flop. In the
Oh,
arena.
dude,
It was awful.
It didn't look good on TV.
It was a complete
It sounded
flop.
so
And
bad.
then-
I was like, why is he just riffing?
yo, it sounded like his wireless was going out. Like, did you kind of hear
Yeah.
that too a little
Oh
bit?
yeah.
It was like,
Yeah,
bam it,
so-
bam it.
in the arena, you could hear the guitar playing, but it was very, very quiet. So everyone was trying to sing along with it. And of course, we were all the way in the back of the arena. I mean, we had great seats, but we were all the way the opposite end of the stage, right? So it was very hard for us to hear it. So like this side of the arena was singing one part, and this side was like two lines behind. It was so bad. I felt so bad.
Dude, so I thought, because like it sounded like shit, and actually that was one of the things Bree said. She was like, "This sounds like shit," and I'm like, and I couldn't defend it. I was like, "It does, it does."
It just
And
blows
then-
my mind. You can go from you go from having this amazing no song entrance that Jericho had like 2 weeks prior, where everyone was singing in unison, to this debacle of an
Well,
entrance.
it's because they probably just didn't set it up right. No in-ears or some shit like that. You can't hear a damn thing he's playing, most likely. So it's just like one of those things. But what's funny is you see Jericho turn his head like back to him, and he's probably just looking like, "Oh, this is rough." He just kept going. You know what I mean? Like
When they first
a
started
professional's
playing,
professional.
I was like, oh sick, they're doing a full band. I was like, I wonder if Jericho's gonna like sing it live.
That would have been sick.
Well, because they
Because
said
the
like,
beginning is just
from-
intro.
They said
just
from the
guitar.
jump like Fozzy, like they said Fozzy. I was like, oh, the full band. And they showed
No,
the
it
guitar.
was just it was just
I
Rich
was like,
Ward.
the camera's gonna pan to like like drums and everything. I was like, wait, no, it's just the guitarist. Okay.
Yeah,
is-
as soon
which
as
is
he went to
weird
like the
'cause the whole
octaves,
band
I
was
was
singing.
like, oh, weird choice. But
Yeah.
okay.
And then you have the Lucha Bros entrance, which was just flawless. Everything about that entrance was nuts.
So good.
You know, the only thing I was a little weird about was the dudes who came out in the robes, like they were all multicolored, and they were dancing they were dancing like super fucking weird. But other than that, everything was awesome. That whole entrance was great.
Well, I'm just glad that
Awesome.
Mikey Ruckus just got a stage for himself to
Oh yeah.
Yes.
spit his
Oh, yeah.
bars.
You know, when that happened, I could see somebody was singing. I'm like, is that Mikey? Holy
Yeah.
shit, that's fucking Mikey. I'm
Dude, I
like,
was thinking the
oh,
same exact thing.
that was so
rules.
cool. So cool.
That's awesome.
I had
So
to like check.
I
I was trying to stay off Twitter like the entire time, but I had to check Twitter just to see if like Mikey referenced that, and he did. I was
Oh.
like, okay, cool, off my phone.
Yes.
yeah,
You know,
so I
throughout-
want to get everyone else's kind of short thoughts on All Out. So a lot of people are calling this the best pay-per-view ever. I don't know if I would say best ever. Definitely up there. So, Clark, I want to hear from you. What did you think of this pay-per-view? Do you think it's the best ever?
I think it's the best, like one of the best in the past like 10, 15 years, like in the modern era of wrestling. Like it's hard to say like, hey, this is better than WrestleMania X7 or something like that, because like this organization is only 2-3 years old, so you can't build the story like this, the storylines and the talent and like the not the talent, sorry, but like the superstardom national level of certain people. You know what I mean? Like it's unfair to try to rate that against WrestleMania X7 or like Royal Rumble '99 or like Money in the Bank 2011, even because you've had 2 to 3 years to build storylines that are long term. But in terms of like modern current stuff like in the past 5-10 years, to me, yeah, absolutely, it's one of the best up there. As in terms of maybe like the best AEW. In terms of like the shock value and surprise factor, absolutely. Maybe like maybe not on a match perspective, but it's like, dude, I really enjoyed it. Like I was telling you before, like I was really excited for it, obviously, and I knew with like the returns and surprises really cool, but I didn't think from a match perspective, like thing that it looked as the best as it could be. But I was pleasantly surprised. Like when I got out of it, I was like on cloud nine almost. Not just from the returns at the end, but the entire part, like from Ruby Soho's thing to Suzuki to the tag match. I was glad they lost too, because I was like, I didn't think in my head that Kenny Omega was gonna lose, because it's like, all right, Christian got one, they ain't gonna do two, but somebody from the Elite has to lose here. Like you can't just leave the crowd, negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was awesome though.
Yeah, Lucha Brothers deserved it. I've been following that tag team. Well, they weren't even a tag team in this promotion, but I used to watch Lucha Underground, which is by far the craziest wrestling show ever. If
It's
anyone
awesome.
who's listening to this, watching this, hasn't watched it, it is fucking bonkers. There's a dude who's supposed to be a dragon, a dude who's from space, this guy who's fucking
That's something
dead.
to show your kids. That's something to show your kids, because it's like it's so far out there. They're
So
like, oh, really? That is the dude that's from the dead. Like Mil Muertes is actually like a damn, undead dude.
He's a dead guy. And that's why I fell in love with Phoenix and Pentagon. I mean, that's what got them into PWG and Impact eventually and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was hoping that. My bad. I was hoping that after the tag. Oh, sorry. I was hoping that after the tag match, because like I'm a big FTR guy. Like that's one of my favorite teams. That's one of my favorite people. Like especially on social media. Jesus Christ, they're so funny. But I was a big FTR guy, and they blame the Young Bucks for like a lot of things. They keep tweeting out like the Young Bucks, we're the best tag team in the world, and so the Young Bucks made us lose, blah blah blah. And I was hoping that either they interfered or they did something to continue the storyline, or like maybe after the Lucha Brothers won, like they're here to beat the Flippy Dippy people. And I'm hoping that eventually circles back to it, because I still think they're, to me, one of the best ever. But same. I'm so glad the tag match happened the way it did.
Yeah, it was great. Bill, let's hear your thoughts on All Out.
So
general,
I think so. Okay, So like I said before, I'm not very, very educated on, Japan wrestling and like all the other indie pay-per-views.
Yep.
But I will say, I'll just tell you my favorite WWE pay-per-views, and it's like what Clark was saying, like Rumble 99, Money in the Bank 2011. Also Mania 32 with like, Brian's, start and finish with like the whole pay-per-view. Yeah. Like that was literally incredible, and that's what made me a wrestling fan again, was literally Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Like him beating Triple H and then, beating Orton and Batista in the main event. I was like, this is fucking incredible. This is like so good. This is like fan. So I would rank, All Out in my top 5, honestly, just because of like making me a fan again. Because watching, like, I guess like not so much nowadays, but like, back in the day, like, watching WWE, I'm like, why do I still watch this? And I've texted you, Sean, about this like a million times. Like, why am I still watching this? Like,
I'm like, I don't know. Why are you?
Exactly. I just have it recorded. I watch it, like whatever. And it's like, and it's no disrespect to all the guys and girls that are working in WWE. Like, they're just doing their thing, getting their checks. But it's like watching AEW, I think start to finish, like every single match had me engaged. It was good. Even the fucking Paul White and QT Marshall match. Like,
yeah,
I knew what it was set up for. It was just Paul White just doing a choke slam and, go on his way.
Yeah.
That was Bree's. That was my fiance's favorite match, because she knew who he was.
Like,
she was like, "It's the Big Show," and that was him. Like,
so here's the thing: I don't like accurately like predicting like matches or like how they're gonna like lay out and everything, but how that laid out, it was great for me. I was just like, just everything on that show was great for me.
Yeah,
and then like
what it was
at the very end, I'm like, oh my god, they're just like really laying it on here. And I was telling you, Sean, the other day, like they're kind of busting their nut a little bit, with like all these debuts and everything. And like, I don't want to see, all the guys and girls, getting buried, or I don't want to say buried, but like, I guess like pushed to the side a little bit. But I feel like they're making an effort to give everybody the time of day. And like,
I mean,
even with like Pillman Jr.
I was just gonna say that. Yep.
The other night, it's like, okay, they're giving him something. This is awesome because I love that dude. He's awesome.
Yeah, and he headlined Rampage last night, which is awesome.
I love Pillman Jr. Like he's fucking great.
Oh, he's amazing. He's awesome.
Like I watched Pillman Senior's documentary months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, but that dude, oh my god, that dude could have been a massive star. And I'm sorry to kind of detract here, but I'll just say right now, I've been meaning to tell this to all of my wrestling friends, but Hangman Page is literally a combination of Pillman and Stone Cold. And Stone Cold and Pillman were a tag team, and this is like the hybrid right here in one person.
Hangman.
Who's a millennial too? Like that's the funniest part about it. It's like a millennial Austin Pillman. Like,
Dude,
yes.
Hangman
he's grown up post 9/11. Like it's just one of those things.
Just to capitalize on that, Hangman is a star. Hangman Page needs to be the face of AEW. He's going to be the one. We'll get it. I'm assuming we'll get into this a little bit later in the podcast, but hands down, I will bet my life that he is going to win the title from Omega next time around, and he's 100%. Going to be the face. Page needs to be the top.
I warned Sean that I'm going to be gushing about Hangman on this show for sure.
It took me.
Because I know Christian Cage just pinned him, but he did the kill switch on the chair.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Clean pin,
it needs to be clean. Like no screwy finish, nothing, just clean.
Nope.
To be honest, it took me a while to get into Hangman. Seeing him from Ring of Honor and into New Japan, it took me a little while, but I think it was his match against Cody. No, it was his match against Cody or Ibushi at Supercard of Honor WrestleMania weekend when it was in New Orleans. I can't remember who his opponent was, but that's the match that turned me into an Omega fan.
He's going to kick out of the one-wing Angel. Is that the name of the move, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the crowd is going to lose their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Clark mentioned Hangman, and I actually got into this really big Twitter conversation on the Metalcore Nards Twitter about someone tweeted, "Hey, I've watched 2 AEW shows, so I'm basically an expert," joking, and they made a list of people who should beat Omega. And Hangman was like way down there. And I was like, there's only one answer.
To be number one.
And it's Hangman. Yeah. And they're like, but like they kind of derailed everything. And when he comes back, no one's going to care. And I was like, mark my words. When he comes back, everyone is going to lose their fucking minds. He's going to have to, win another title shot. So it's not going to be a cold, I'm going for the title. And I still think we're going to talk about this probably a little bit later, but we're going to get Danielson versus Omega first.
I was going to say,
and then
Bryan's going to lose.
Yeah, they're going to get all like the star power versus Omega, like the past WWE guys versus Omega first. And then they're going to go back to that Hangman storyline. Like, I feel like they're giving it time. Like Hangman just had his daughter. So like, that's why it's like, people are like, oh man, why didn't Hangman get it all out? He has a child, so it's like, let him do his thing, let all this crazy shit that happened mellow out, and then restart that feud in like 3-4 months from now, and you're gonna be so engaged, it's insane.
Felipe in the chat was talking about Heyman is gonna save Danielson from the Elite, which is, I think he thinks it's gonna happen at Archer Ath. I think there's gonna be a multi-man match, like baby faces versus the Elite. I think Hangman might just be in it. Because now, what is it? 4 guys? Christian Cage, Jurassic Express, and Danielson. And the Elite has what now? 6? Or is it 5? No, it's 6. It's 6. So they need 2 more people. They're gonna do, Bryan could be one. Or Hangman could be one.
Whatever they're going to do.
Massive, matches.
Whatever they're gonna do with Hangman, it's gonna be big.
Oh, it's gonna be
Okay,
massive.
so whenever they bring him back, it's gonna be huge, and it's gonna be on a big platform. It's gonna be a big stage. It's gonna be a big
So-
match feel.
I've been following this for like a minute, like obviously like with AEW, but like with Hangman going away for a bit, obviously like he has like his family things going on, but it's like they're literally priming him to be the fucking top star in AEW.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
like dude,
But they're doing it so well because they're leaving me like anticipating his
Yes.
return. Where I'm like, oh, he's not gonna be at All Out, like fuck. But yeah, like personal issues, like whatever. But like, it's like yeah, he's gonna come back like with like a giant fucking storm like behind him. Like,
what did you think of the Dark Order versus Elite match? Like when they came out wearing the colors with the bandanas and everything, that was
So
clean,
cool.
dude. It was so sick, and like the pose on the fucking on the like the the ring, where they were all standing on this like before they entered the ring, they were all posing with it.
Yes.
Oh, it was
That
so
was
cool,
dope.
dude.
That was incredible, and I was like, Hangman's gonna win. And then I was like, Hangman's gonna win. And then when he lost,
I was
and then
yeah,
he
you're
left the
like,
Dark Order,
fuck.
Kitty.
and dude, the BTE thing with Hangman like leaving, and he has that little like goodbye video.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't seen that yet, look at Hangman's video to Dark Order. Oh my god,
It's amazing. And they put it in like the briefcase to play it. That's my favorite BTE quirk. Is they put DVDs in like cupboards or whatever, and they just play. It's my favorite thing. It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous.
dude. The new one. The new
Felipe
one,
also said the
Cole,
Good Brothers don't count. I don't agree, but it is a good note to bring up because Adam Cole has not mentioned them. He cut a promo on Wednesday, ignored them. In his short promo on Rampage, also ignored them. So I think there will be like a fallout with the Good Brothers. It would be interesting to see if the Good Brothers, I mean, maybe they'll just fuck off and do their own thing. But if they join back with the Bullet Club, I know we're going to get an Elite versus Bullet Club thing eventually. It's happening. Probably after Kenny drops the title to Hangman. But it's going to happen. There's
Yeah,
no
like
way.
you're feuding with Tama. You're feuding with Tama, and then now, which is like they're still the original Bullet Club, blah blah blah. It'll be a really good way to like circle back the feud, for sure.
I almost thought Adam Cole would come back. Even when he showed up and he seemed like he was against the Elite, I was like, oh fuck, is he gonna join the Bullet Club against them?
No.
Because I thought maybe like, oh, maybe Danielson won't show up. Maybe Adam Cole won't show up. Maybe Jay White's going to show up at the end. He teased
right.
Chicago.
I have a
like I thought maybe they would show up, but I'm fine with them waiting on that. What was that, Bill?
How does Bray Wyatt fit in AEW?
Easy.
And don't say the Dark Order.
It's going to be the Dark Order. It's going to be the Dark Order.
Dude, people
they're laying the seeds for it right now. They're in utter disarray. Who better to come back than one of Luke Harper's best friends to whip him in shape? I know some people don't want it, but it makes sense to me.
I guess
100%.
It doesn't want the obvious like outcome, but like I feel like that would be the best one, just because where else does he fall in?
That is 100% what needs to happen, and I would 100% be all for it.
I would love for them to do it in Rochester, but I don't think that there's enough time between now and the 29th.
I think they're going to do it in Rochester.
And can we just talk?
If they do it in Rochester, are you going to that?
Can we just talk about why the fuck WWE let Bray Wyatt go in the first place?
Because WWE sucks.
Because of creative.
Like, look at all the people they just let go.
Dude, the Fiend
it's crazy.
The best thing that they had going in the last like how many fucking years, outside of like Danielson's yes movement and everything. That was like amazing, but they had such a good thing going with the Fiend, and
it was all him.
They ruined that pretty fast,
and it ran parallels with like debuting Kane back in like '97.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. I remember watching SummerSlam when he debuted against Finn Balor. I'm like, oh my God, again, like I am a fan of WWE again because of this guy. I've always loved Bray Wyatt, but like
Oh yeah.
he reinvented himself, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like literally incredible with the Code Orange theme music, the little head lantern, like the severed head lantern. Everything was just so perfect with that presentation, and then
Oh
they
yeah.
fucked it up.
That Firefly
Good job.
Funhouse match was my favorite match of that
Dude,
WrestleMania.
that was one of the
It was so
craziest
sick.
things I've ever watched in my entire
Dude,
life.
putting like his brain with John Cena, who is the most self-aware person, and the WWE doesn't let him be himself, and you could tell like how good he is outside of like, look at the movies he's been in, bro. He's so good.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
like that's where that match was so damn good. So it's like if you could imagine having Bray,
But Cena's at the point now where he's like giving back to like,
yeah,
everybody. He's like, yeah, maybe I was an asshole, 10 years ago, but I understand worth and like, what I
I'm
can do.
filthy rich now, so I don't care anymore.
But
Yeah.
that was like literally one of the craziest segments I've ever. I won't even call it a match. I'll just call it a segment.
Yeah, that's
It-
fair.
And that was like literally probably the highlight of me being in my house in 2020 was watching the Firefly Funhouse match.
Dude, that shit was dope.
Sorry,
I
off
love
track
that.
here.
I love that. So I
But we-
want to go through a
we
couple.
stand-
Yeah, we do stand Bray. Damn fucking right. And if you've been paying attention to CM Punk's shoes, he's delivered
Oh,
on all those
BW?
initials besides Bray Wyatt.
Incoming.
And
He covered
I
that shit up with Renee on the podcast.
He tried
he
to.
was- Yeah, because he was saying like, oh, it's like for like AC, it was like, oh, it's Aaron Coleman or something like that from Fox because they were both friends at Fox or whatever, right? But
sly motherfucker.
clearly not. You know what I mean?
No, Punk's a
Yeah, and
Punk's a
there's one
troll.
thing-
I love that dude, but he's
He is
such
a
a troll.
major troll. There's the one thing I will give AEW. Well, I'll give AEW a lot of credit, but especially now after the Punk thing, if they tease anything, it's fucking happening. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. They're not going to tease something to leave you blue balled. It's going to happen. I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill. No, you go ahead.
So I guess like the two times that I got blue balled hard by AEW was the Christian Cage debut, because I thought that was when Punk was coming back, and then
That's expectations, bro.
and
That's not right.
the barbed wire death match.
Yeah,
That-
we all
yeah.
got blue ball. on that one.
yeah. Dude, the storyline was
Look,
tight.
fair.
Kingston covering him up, you know.
Kenny is such a pro where he covered it up like on Twitter. He's like, yeah, my rig didn't like, go off the way I wanted it to or something. So I was like, okay, I get it.
We can give AEW a pass on that. They provided us some great shit over
But
the
that's what
years.
WWE doesn't do. They don't cover their fucking
True.
fuck ups. Like all these guys and like all the guys and girls and like the execs in AEW, they follow up on everything. They keep people engaged. They keep engagement up, and that's what I love about AEW.
So I watch all the pay-per-views with a group of friends. We all go over to his house. It's been a tradition since they've started the pay-per-views. And I remember us watching the barbed wire match. And since the end moment was kind of a dud, or was a dud, not even kind of, people forget that match was fucking brutal.
Dude, it was
It's like
so
that match was nuts.
That
But I
match was
remember it
nuts.
happening, and we're all like,
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Dude,
that's kind of how I felt.
I
Like,
have a funny personal story with that because my son's not into wrestling at all, but he loves you could say I'm a bad parent or whatever, but he loves violent video games and he's 9. Whatever, I'd make sure he's not going to shoot up a school. Okay,
You're
But
fine. You're not.
he
a bad
loved the barbed wire death match. Okay, because he saw it and he was like, is he actually gonna kill him? Like the whole thing, he kept seeing like what happened, and he was so engaged, right? And I said, you just have to watch what happens. You just have to watch what happens, because I'm thinking the
Yeah.
explosion, right? You know what I mean? Because I'm prepping my son up, and he's like, wait, so it's gonna explode when the timer hits? And then he's like, who's that? And I'm like, Eddie Kingston's like his best friend, and he's like, oh, is he gonna die? Is he gonna save him? And then the fucking explosion sucks, and my son, no questions, no statements. He just fucking walks out. And I'm just like, he's never gonna watch wrestling again. Like, he was so fucking bummed, dude.
Yo, just show him Jericho versus Gage.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Oh,
because
I
that
wasn't
match-
gonna let him watch that, because then he's gonna be like, because I actually recently had to replace the kitchen light, which has the fluorescent tubes. Because if I
Oh,
let him watch that, he's
no.
breaking that shit over my back, guaranteed.
Look, so we saw that barbed wire match. It was great up until the ending, but nobody talks about the unsanctioned match they had at Full Gear 2 years ago,
Which
which
nuts.
I thought that was
Wild.
a hell of a lot better.
Yeah,
The
I
And
fucking
I was
barbed
there
wire
for that
bed?
too. Yeah,
Oh,
we were
Fuck.
in the arena watching that happen. That was back before AEW was like super huge, so the arena was only half full. So we were like almost to the front pretty much, and it was
Oh.
insane watching it. And
Fuck.
I still to this day think that one was a hell of a lot better than the barbed wire death match.
That's fair. That was a really good match.
well, it's because
was
you probably have
brutal.
ropes, you know? Like, it's hard to do shit when the ring
With
is
no
barbed
rope.
wire. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Now it's crazy because the explosions on the ropes when they would throw them into the ropes,
It was
those were
awesome.
fucking dope. So then what the hell happened?
I thought we were
You
just
know
gonna get
Tony
that
Khan
times
didn't
like
pay
2
them?
or something.
let's just give a shout out to Moxley real quick. That dude is a consummate pro at what he does.
Bleed everywhere.
Okay.
Sean, what was the pay-per-view that we were texting about? The opening match was Hangman and Cage.
It was the last one, right? Double or nothing? Right?
Yeah, I believe so. But when Mox and Eddie did their intro, because I think they're facing the Young Bucks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And when Moxley like snatched that beer from someone in the crowd and just like slammed it and just like smashed it on his head, I was like, I fucking love him.
All right. So, are you guys familiar with GCW?
A little bit.
Yes.
I'm getting a little educated now.
So that they had their show the night before All Out.
Did
right?
you go to it?
Yeah, we were there.
Fuck, man.
So obviously, I don't know if you've seen what happened or not, but at the end of the show,
yeah.
after the War Games match, you know, Zack Ryder is the GCW champion. Everyone fucking hates him. He is the best heel in the independent scene
So
right now,
good.
hands down. Such heat. And then of course G Raver comes out with his druids and they have this whole big fucking debacle. But John Moxley is in one of those joy costumes, right?
Yes.
Dirty Deeds, whatever he calls his finisher now on Matt Cardona, wins the GCW title. But now that sets up a fucking death match versus Nick Gage come October 9th. And
it's October 9th? It's coming up that soon?
October 9th at their show
it's
in
like
Atlantic
their next
City.
pay-per-view, I think.
So you see I don't know if you guys saw, but when he came in, or I guess he was doing
wearing the
like
hoodie?
he was wearing the GCW hoodie. Yep, at All Out,
Yep.
he had the GCW
Dude,
hoodie on.
I loved that he was putting like GCW over. Like he didn't have to do that, but he just comes out wearing that hoodie for like that match. That thing was fucking sick.
Dude,
The best part about that,
loves it.
GCW posting, "Oh, our hoodies are back in stock." The same hoodie. I was like, good move. Good move.
I'll tell you what, man,
Smart
that was cool as shit that they're doing this little link up with AEW now, and I hope that they are able to do something more with AEW on it.
WWE is not wrestling anymore. Everything else is wrestling.
Yeah,
True.
pretty much.
True.
Because everyone's like literally
Straight
putting
up.
each other on their backs. And
What
I
did you
love
guys think of the first match? Like the Miro and Kingston match?
I
It was a
thought
good
it was
match.
dope.
Very good match.
I thought it
They
was
put the two
decent.
Haas fights right in the beginning.
Dude, I want like the rubber match is happening at Arthur Ashe, right? Eddie Kingston in his hometown has to win.
So
They have proven
how did it?
if you've wrestled in your hometown, you'll win. It's the opposite of WWE.
How was
Yeah.
it?
You know,
How did it
Moxley,
sound?
Brian Pillman.
How did it sound?
How did it sound on your end for that match?
The pop for Kingston was huge.
Yes.
Not really for Miro, even though I think Miro is fucking amazing. Like he is a brick shit house, and that character he's doing right now is what he should have been doing the whole time. Especially including his wife and all the comments that they do, and then like
It's so
that shit is
amazing.
Dude, the crowd was so hot at the start of that show. As soon as they start, was it Justin Roberts comes in the ring before it even went live?
Yep.
Crowd is screaming, right?
Oh my
They were
God,
so
dude.
hot. They were just like they're fucking race at the start of a Kentucky Derby, man. They're in that cage ready to go. And as soon as Eddie Kingston's music hit, I mean, you could feel the fucking venue shaking.
Damn.
Was he the first one to come out? on
Yeah.
that page? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the start of the show, honestly.
Yep.
But
That's sick.
I didn't realize Eddie Kingston was that over.
Oh, people love that.
Dude,
motherfucker.
I think he's one of like the crowning achievements of what happened during the COVID era of ABW.
Mhm.
True.
Absolutely. Like from his independent shit to coming in there, challenging Cody. And ever since then, he's just even dude, he gets over by losing. Like he hasn't won any feud he's been in right now.
True.
But when he wins that title, that's dude, in New York, I'm speaking it into existence, please. That's gonna be amazing. You know?
I
I
would
keep
love that,
saying
honestly.
this, but like AEW is presenting all of their performers as the realest people that they can present.
Yes.
Eddie
Absolutely.
Kingston is like the realest motherfucker you'll ever see on TV.
Yeah.
Dude, he was fighting Miro wearing butters. Like, who does that?
His
overalls.
T-shirt, the damn T-shirt he wore coming into the
Redeem
ring,
these
man, that was
nuts.
amazing. Redeem these nuts. I loved it.
I will give credit to
Love
their
it.
merch department.
Did you see CJ / Lana's tweet?
Yeah, nuts redeemed or some shit like that. dude.
Nuts.
No, she said I'll redeem your nuts when you get home.
Yeah. Amazing.
like-
Oh, that was amazing.
Dude,
Amazing.
all right. Yeah, no, my bad.
I want to talk about the big woman's debut that happened in the pay-per-view because we haven't covered that. We talked about all the other ones pretty much. But Ruby Soho, formerly Ruby Riott, formerly Heidi Lovelace on the Indies, was the Joker in the Casino Battle Royale. She's wrestled on both Dynamite and Rampage. And she also, I watched the post-media scrum for All Out too. And this is probably one of the coolest bits of info from that whole thing. So when she was deciding on what her new name would be, she's friends with Lars from Rancid. And she goes, "Oh, why don't you use Ruby Soho as your name? And of course you can use the song." Which I think is like the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, that's
The dude from Rancid gave her fucking name.
That
So
is
sick.
That is the most punk rock fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
you can't get any more than that.
I love seeing worlds collide here.
Because that's
How
what she
was-
said. She's
how was it
like,
live?
being a punk music fan, a lot of people in those bands like wrestling. And I was like, cool.
You know,
I
me
think
and my
it goes
buddy-
back to, CM Punk being like, obviously like, a big punk rock fan. But also, I'll give you another little kind of nugget. But when Saliva was like hard and like into the WWE, they said on interview like WWE like fucking projected our careers like to the top. I was like, damn, that's actually kind of cool.
I bet they did.
There was a
Dude,
time when I wasn't
Steve
watching.
Austin's Disturbed song was amazing. I loved that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The Disturbed Stone Cold song. I love that too.
Yes, dude.
Oh, that was
Dude,
so
Shadows Fall was
Oh,
the theme
shit.
song for RVD. Killswitch was CM Punk originally. So they had like a whole like metalcore entrance, metalcore new metal entrance like
quick little story
era.
for you guys. When I toured back in the day, I was on tour with Outline in Color, and I got invited to a South by Southwest showcase that was hosted by Roadrunner, and it was like headlined by Killswitch. They had Turnstile and Power Trip on the bill too.
Damn.
Sickest show ever. Sickest fucking shit. But Killswitch, right before they played This Fire, they're just like, yeah, you guys might know this song. It's our buddy CM Punk uses it. You might know it. We're not going to say the name of the song, and they just played it. and
yeah.
I came out of Mosh retirement for that one.
That's dope.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Alex,
it
were you
was
gonna say something on
so-
Ruby Soho?
Yeah, so me and my buddy we were always huge Ruby Riott fans. We love the Riott Squad in WWE. And obviously we saw her vignettes the weeks leading up to All Out about her, finding a new place to go. But I guess between just all the other excitement that was happening on that show and that weekend, him and I just completely forgot that she was even an option of showing up. Like we were talking about like who's going to debut, who's going to show up in the women's Casino Royale, who's going to be the surprise. And we just never, for some reason, it just never came to mind that Ruby Soho would be the one. So we're sitting there, we're watching it. I'm waiting for Layla Hirsch to come out because I wanted to hear her entrance, and I was really excited to hear that. And then, of course, like a little bit longer, it's like, oh, here's the Joker card. Who's it going to be? Still not clicking in our fucking heads that it's obviously going to be Ruby Riott. It did not click in our heads. So, I mean, out of all the debuts that happened that night, for us, our pop was probably the most genuine for Ruby Riott because we were both just stunned at the fact that how did we, one, not realize that it was going to be Ruby Riott, and two, I can't fucking believe she's in AEW, and she looked good. She kicked ass in that match.
Yeah, I really loved it. It was
was
down to her and Thunder Rosa at the end, and her two matches were both pretty good this week.
Yes, she is
I
great.
think with me for Ruby, it's I only like first heard of her when she debuted in NXT, and then she got called up to WWE. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, she's got a cool look to her. Obviously like the punk rock, tatted girl.
Yes,
and everything. But they just dropped the ball with her.
they did.
They completely fucked her over.
The Riott Squad was such a cool thing, and they just fucked it.
Liv and Sarah too,
Yeah.
So
it's like the Riott Squad could have been amazing, but I was like, I want to like this group, but I just can't because they're making me not like them.
yeah, they dropped the ball hard. With
But
what was it all?
Yeah.
I'm so happy that Ruby's like doing better now, and like she's in a good place, and
She seems
It was
so happy.
It was in All Out 2019. We were traveling back because we're traveling back home to Nashville, and All Out that year was on a Saturday as well. So on Sunday, it was on a Saturday because this year was on a Sunday, but in 2019 it was on a Saturday. So Sunday we were driving home, and there was an indie show in Indianapolis called Bizarro Lucha, excuse me. And we stopped in. We wanted to see the show there. They had Shotzi Blackheart was on the bill, and Ruby Riott was actually kind of like hiding backstage. She didn't like come out and wrestle or anything. But as we're watching the show, she was standing right fucking next to us. She had like this hoodie. She had this hoodie up because she was still in WWE at the time, and she didn't want anybody to know that she was at a different show. She was out injured. That's why she was there, and she wasn't, in Orlando or whatnot. But she was just standing right next to us. She had this hoodie on, like her arms were all crossed up, so making sure that nobody noticed her. But I thought that was pretty fucking cool that we were right there next to Ruby Riott watching Shotzi Blackheart get her ass kicked.
That's awesome.
That's wild.
Clark, do you want to add anything
I was
before
a
we
big-
move on to the next thing?
Dude, I was just like that whole moment, and like even prior, like I know a lot of people say like that was kind of like the lull in the crowd, or like the lull in the show was the women's battle royale. I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of the additions, like Jamie Hayter was really fantastic. Obviously Thunder Rosa is amazing. Like, yes, there might be like a gap when it comes to like the top level of female stars that they have in the company versus like, they're growing them, but that's the whole fucking point of it. You know what I mean? Like the Chris Statlander and Britt Baker match was fantastic, and the women's battle royale, I was really excited about it. I'm a big Jade Cargill fan. I think in maybe like 2 or 3 years she's going to be like the most brick shit house ever. Kind of reminds me of Naomi a little bit, how like they are the most athletic person that is in the women's division, and I think that's what Jade kind of looks like, but it's like more of like almost like a power lifter, because that's what I want. I want to see like a powerlifting woman just be the brick shit house like heater, like kind of like how Jamie Hayter is right now a little bit, or that's being what she's built like. I can see that being done for Jade too.
I think they need to give Statlander
I gotta
the
take a
title.
real quick.
Oh, go ahead,
Keep
man.
going.
Chris Statlander to me is their top star in the women's division in AEW. I have loved her since I first saw her on the Indies. I think that she should be the one who. I thought she was going to win the title against Britt Baker, and I really hope that she. I thought she was going to, because Chris Statlander is such a powerhouse. You're talking about how Jade Cargill, you want this power lifting women's champion. I mean, what was it? Just the Dynamite before
Yeah, she
All
had
Out?
Hater and Rebel, I think, right?
Yeah. She picked up both of them.
Yeah.
Sick.
Picked up both. I'm like, this woman is a powerhouse. How is she not the champion right now?
I just feel like it's too early to end, dude. Britt is the most over person on the female side in the AEW to me.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, the Pittsburgh thing was absolutely insane. But even like in Chicago and other places, like she's over as hell. And I just feel like it's too early to like, because the good thing is, yes, they changed titles on TV. We've seen it before. But I like how, I mean, you don't need to change a title once a year. You should change it more than that. But it's like, I feel like Britt's first reign should be long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's the hard thing they have with being a new company. I was talking about the Friends during the pay-per-view of how little of champions there have been, but it makes sense. They don't want to make any of these title reigns like transitional, or feel like they don't mean anything. They don't want them to win it and then just lose it right after. Because I think Thunder Rosa is going to be the one that takes it off Britt Baker eventually. Because the story's there.
Chris Statlander, come on.
I mean, Chris Statlander is awesome, but I think this match was needed to put her back in the limelight after that injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she was in that trajectory 100%, and then she got injured, unfortunately, and that kind of derailed things a lot. And I think this match was like a good. Yeah, Chris Statlander is fucking awesome. She'll come back around eventually. You know what I mean? Because I agree with Clark though too. It's too soon to take it off Britt Baker right now. Like she's gonna beat Ruby Soho. It's just, it is what it is. Unless they surprise us, which they've done before.
I mean, Britt doesn't need the title. That's the thing. Like, Britt's over enough where she doesn't need the title. At the same time, it's like that title reign. I mean, how long has it been now? She won it at Double or Nothing, right?
Yeah, so
that was what, May?
So 4 months.
I mean,
she's defended it like 3 or 4 times or something.
Yeah, so I mean, say we get to, when's Full Gear? November
13th.
Yeah, so she loses it November. Totally fine with that. That was a long time. That was half a year. Yeah. Fuck it. She doesn't need the title.
I do think the Ruby match will be before that though.
Probably. Yeah.
It's kind of a really long time to go with it, but they might. I don't know. It seems when anyone wins a number 1 contender at the pay-per-view, it never goes to the next pay-per-view. It's always a TV match or something.
That's the good thing too. They save a lot. I mean, hell, we saw Kenny drop a title, not the title, but a title. On the first Rampage, which was cool, and that set up Christian for all his TNA or Impact stuff, which was fantastic. But it's like we also, like, the one cool thing is we've seen the TNT title change not on a pay-per-view. We've seen other stuff change not on a pay-per-view. So there's certain, like, we've seen tag team title changes not on a pay-per-view. So, and we've seen world title changes not on pay-per-view. So, I mean, you're right.
Sure.
Ruby Soho could be the one to take it off, and it could be right then. And then we start the Thunder Rosa match immediately. Because that's going to happen. Britt Baker's next feud, if it's not with the title, post-title, straight to Thunder Rosa. That's what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. And that'll be good. That'll be real good. Because, I mean, the Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker match was the first time we finally got a real story in the women's division. And there was no title involved at all.
Yep.
They just need to do more of that. That's my biggest critique of AEW is their women's division, which they've been building up people that are awesome, like Chris Statlander, like Penelope Ford, Jade Cargill, even Red Velvet, and
dude, I mean Anna Tay
Layla Hirsch, Anna Jay, Tay Conti. Like they just need to keep building, which they're doing.
Just to make
the storylines are there.
To make an addition, Tay Conti, incredible. Okay, we saw her on NXT.
Oh, yeah.
We saw her. She wasn't that great in NXT. She went away for a while. She started training again. And the first match I saw her wrestle in AEW, I was like, oh my God, she turned herself around. She is the only one that I've seen out of all the women in AEW who is making it look like she's actually fighting and not wrestling. And that's what I like about the women. Like when I watch women's wrestlers, they can't just be soft about it. You know, they have to go at it. When I see a women's match, it has to be hard.
They gotta
it
lay
has
their
to
shit
be
in.
They got to lay it in. You're right. Don't be pulling your punches. Ty Conti hits, she kicks, she connects, and it looks so stiff, but she's controlling it so well where she's not hurting her opponent. And I'm like, that is wrestling. That is how you sell it. And she is going to be a star.
I will say one of the most stiff, hard-hitting matches I have ever seen in wrestling was Pentagon in a gauntlet match against Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and then another Japanese wrestler.
Lucha Underground.
And it was him against 3 women.
Yes.
And it is
now,
wild, dude.
You want to see hard hitting? You need to go on YouTube and look up the match of Minoru Suzuki versus Asuka, or whatever her name was.
Oh my god!
Oh, Kana.
Kana. Holy shit! I thought he was gonna murder her in the ring.
I believe that.
I was so scared. I was so disturbed watching it.
Dude, I had to explain to my friend who Suzuki was, and I'm like, just think the Japanese Brock Lesnar. He was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, he really is like an MMA fighter." He was like, "No, he's not." But like Minoru Suzuki did MMA when he was a lot younger, so he looks completely different now. But that dude, he fought Ken Shamrock. Like I'm talking, Boss Root and like the old UFC guys. So this dude is he is a guy that he might not look like he could kick your ass. But it's like if you met him in a bar, you're dead. Like period. Like Minoru Suzuki's no
Straight up.
joke.
He'll kick your ass.
That is a good transition because I did want to talk about the Mox versus Suzuki match that happened on Wednesday Night Dynamite, and seems like the future tag match that we're getting maybe next week. Maybe.
I hope so, dude. Because I feel like because of the cut, they ended the match early for sure. Because like that was a pretty bad cut. He had 7 stitches in his eyes, and I feel like I don't know whether it was a time constraint, how they fucked up the intro that Alex said like live. That was one of the biggest pops was the Kazi Nina Ray part of his theme. They have to do a second match because the first match had so much potential, and what they did was really good. But for Suzuki being like that's one of the biggest impacts, no pun intended, that they had from All Out and just from the Forbidden Door. Like that's the biggest star from New Japan we have right now that's in it, that's showing on AEW. If we're wanting to eventually see Kenny Okada or Ibushi Omega or something like that, we have to start somewhere where you're getting like Tanahashi. It was supposed to be Tanahashi, that was going, and then but they didn't want to have Tanahashi lose so quickly to Moxley, and that makes sense because you got to protect your own stars, and you're not gonna have Moxley lose, So I loved the match. I wanted to see more of it. You know what I mean? And I think we'll see more of it for sure.
Yeah,
it's funny because there was the tweet after about with Lance and Suzuki talking about how they got hometown favorites, and some people are theorizing that they cut off the music intentionally, which I don't know if that's true, but they could easily play it off.
It's a way. Yeah, it's a way to cover their ass one way, and that's the thing. If they fuck it up, they'll cover their ass, and you're like, you know what? Good on you. It's almost like you give them a little wink, and you're like, I'll remember it.
Suzuki was really pissed about them cutting off his music like that right before the Kazi Nina Ray part. And of course, look, 7 stitches in Suzuki's eye, 7 stitches. Like they could have easily continued that match because the 7 stitches in Suzuki's eye to him is like a fucking hangnail. Okay, that dude will go.
True. He doesn't give a fuck.
He don't care
at all.
He gives no shits. He's just there to murder.
But I feel like that's why they protected his eye though, because they didn't know how bad, how little or how bad it was. Because that's why he didn't do the full on like DDT. It was like he did almost like a suplex with it because he was protecting his head.
To protect his head.
You know what I mean? Because like if you're bleeding from the fucking eye and then you get dropped on your head, you're gonna bust that thing open a lot more. And plus Suzuki, like he's doing an entire month-long tour in the U.S. right now apparently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got
he's doing all these different dates. It looked like a tour flyer, like a legit tour flyer. Like it was a Suzuki's head, and then like every weekend for the next like 5-6 weeks, he's doing a show. I'm like, this is tight.
He's doing a ton of GCW shows too, which is going to be nuts.
Dude, Sean, you got to get in on that. Be like, who do I need to talk to design his flyers, please? Thank you.
For real. Yeah. I've only done like a few wrestling design things in my life. It's such a weird industry to break into. I did do a t-shirt design for Bobby Roode though.
That's
That's
dope.
Which was
sick.
tight.
What? That's
Really?
sick.
Yeah, right before he went to WWE.
That's
It was
so
like
sick, dude.
I did like a bomb and it had a beard because his finisher used to be the Rude Bomb
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it said Bobby Roode on it. It was pretty sick. It was
Hell
on Pro
yeah.
Wrestling Tees, and then they
No
stopped answering my emails after that. Whatever. That's when the wrestling world was just plagued with rips. Everything was a fucking rip.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't even care. Whatever. I was like, if they want these lame ass designs, it's on them, I guess. But I did have that one. Oh, I did design the logo for Raise the Bar Wrestling, which is like a new indie in LA,
That's
which
sick.
was cool. My friend hit me up who's a part of it, who I do design work. He's a manager at
Hey,
Shelter.
Did you guys
So
did you
that was
guys
cool.
watch that David Arquette documentary?
Yeah, nuts.
So good. That guy
I haven't
like
watched the full
literally,
documentary yet.
that guy literally wants to be a made man in pro wrestling.
Yes, he does.
Would you consider him a made man now?
No, because he kind of just
Same.
stopped after the Gage stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably not there, but he's done enough where I'm like, all right, I respect you.
Oh, I definitely respect him. For him to do the shit he did at his age, good for him. I
For
think he
him
was
to-
waiting for WWE to call him.
Back in 2000, oh my god, that was.
I think that's why he did it. He didn't want to
yeah,
be
that is-
remembered as that, you know?
but the fact that he agreed to that, even though he didn't want to, I was like, dang, you got some
Shit
balls,
happens.
bro.
Yeah. Some people do that shit all the time, you know? Agree to shit they don't want to do. Get forced into it.
It's everybody in WWE.
Sucks. Yeah, true. Good point. Good point, Clark. So, Rampage started off with Andrade versus Pac, and they let it go almost half of the show, which is awesome. I definitely
the
think we're
show's
gonna get
only
a
an
rubber match
hour.
with that. I mean, yeah. And I thought the match was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a bummer it wasn't on All Out, but I'm glad it kind of got its own spotlight by itself in a way. And what did you guys think of the match? And do you think Flair is coming now that Andrade laid out Chavo?
I was gonna say, I think Flair is incoming really quickly. Just because, I mean, I guess what I said before about AEW kind of busting their nut on all these debuts. I do think that Flair is incoming and they should do it. I just don't know when they should do it. I guess is my point.
Fair.
I don't know. I mean, they're riding a wave right now. They should just like do whatever they can, just to, like keep people watching.
Yeah.
And like, dude, like
Alex, what did you
a
think of the
bunch
match?
of like,
Oh, sorry.
Bill,
Go
the thing
continue.
about Flair, is like a bunch of non-wrestling fans love Ric Flair.
True.
So that could just like bring in like more like organic like viewers to the show.
Very true.
Could, maybe like a few thousand. I don't know. Like I don't know analytics and everything, about television viewing, but no, I think Flair is a good match with Andrade for sure. And that match was amazing too.
It was so good. It was great. Alex, what did you think?
So I was bummed to hear that match wasn't on All Out because I was really looking forward to that match for All Out.
Fair.
Because I think that match needs to be a big pay-per-view feel match. Doing it on Rampage was cool to see it happen, but I think it could have gone a hell of a lot different if it was still on that pay-per-view. When I found out that it wasn't happening, I read something that they were going to run Andrade against a mystery opponent. And I thought that was when we would see Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson show up. Obviously, that didn't happen. We got something better. So seeing this happen on Rampage was great. I like it. I wish they saved it for a pay-per-view. You put those two in a match together, you're going to get an awesome show, right? And I think
Oh yeah.
the possibility of Flair coming in would be great. especially since he showed up recently on NWA. He did a couple run-ins on NWA. So bringing him in with Andrade would be cool. The one spot that from the match that really stands out to me was when he had him up in like the Tree of Woe on the turnbuckle hanging outside of the ring, and he did like the double stomp on him. But when he came down and just landed flat on his ass, I'm like, oh, he probably just bruised the tailbone. That had to have hurt.
I was gonna say
because I remember
the once
the. Go ahead.
the one spot that stuck out in my head was that like springboard DDT to the outside. That shit was nuts.
God damn, that match was good. It's a good match, and it's a good. I hope to see it again. I really would like to see it again.
I think we'll get it again,
I
especially
think
with that
that's why
ending.
they had the dirty finish. Agreed.
The thing
The
I
ending
love,
was.
They were like,
the ending
"Oh,
was a little
you helped me
weird.
cheat. I want to beat you fair."
the thing that I love about AEW now, like just speaking on like Andrade and Pac too, it's like these guys could have been like top stars like in WWE, but I mean, you know, I hate to use this word, but like they're mid card stars now in AEW, but whatever they do fucking matters.
Yeah.
You know? It's like I keep circling back to this, but like every single person on AEW, like whatever show that they're putting on, even like the lower card guys, I'm like, yeah, these guys are fucking great. Like, I don't know, they're doing something just perfectly, and I'm here for it.
They just give people time and they don't force people into things that are so forced and unnatural and not needed. And if things don't work, they change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. You know, you don't need to see everything through. If it's not working, switch it up.
Yeah, I feel like they give
Simple.
people the chance to fail. You
True.
know?
Yeah, they do.
Like that's like one of the best things, and like, you know, what he was kind of saying, like, you know, anywhere Pac or Andrade go, they could easily be main event. They're considered mid card right now, but it's like the cool thing about even all the mid card guys, you could look at anybody that's in the quote unquote mid card, and you could see them going to challenge for the world title and potentially winning it
Any minute.
any time of the point. Like Eddie Kingston, MJF, even though MJF is like hot as fuck anywhere, even though he lost to Jericho, it didn't matter because the next day, or like the next Dynamite, he got his heat right back with Brian Pillman.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, dude, that promo was literally incinerating.
That's how it's supposed to be, dude.
And he sends Brian Pillman Jr.'s sister into labor.
He's gonna use that,
That was
next week for
hysterical.
sure.
Oh no, dude, did you see his Twitter response to that? He said the baby wanted
No.
to get away from her as fast as he could. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
He was like saying like,
That dude.
What was he saying? Like, your mom's all methed out or something, or
Yeah, no, he called her Methany.
meth.
Yeah.
Methany.
Then he said the forbidden A word on TV. I was like, whoa,
Oh, bro, that was
there
amazing.
we go.
Yeah,
So
he went
that's
there.
him, dude.
That is him. You're right. It's MJF.
MJF.
That's MJF to his
Yeah.
core.
And bro,
Yeah.
he's 25. That's the craziest thing. Like, you don't
Right.
get to learn how to be that good of a heel till like you're Ric Flair's age, when he was 30 years ago, when he's only 50,
He's
right?
literally
Like,
like spoiled kid.
So MJF, I saw him in an indie promotion here in Nashville called Southern Underground Pro. And he was a frequent there. He would show up almost every show. And back then, before he was on any big show, his gimmick was being this rich boy, like he is right now, but he was like really played like the whole rich boy aspect. And you see him now in AEW carries around that plaid ugly ass looking scarf.
The Burberry.
And he always tells people that it's like a cashmere, like $1,000 scarf. And on the indies, people would always just bullshit him and say your scarf is fake, or he would talk like that was the insult, like your scarf is fake and shit. And he would get so heated about it. And I remember we were at a show and the scarf fell off and it was laying on the outside of the ring. And me and my buddies picked it up and started wearing it throughout the match Dude, he comes running out of the ring, looks at us, and he just rips it right off of us. And you're like, do not touch my scarf. I'm just like,
Oh my
and I look at
God.
the tag, it's from fucking Target.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Oh,
That's
it's
beautiful.
so fucking hysterical. He's like, oh, it's $1,000 scarf. It's from Target. God damn it.
That's good shit.
That's a true heel right there.
Dude,
Oh,
he's
straight up.
great.
Speaking of
great.
The
heels,
best-
have you guys watched Heels?
No,
Nah, yeah, I don't have
yet.
stars.
I don't have stars either. Like I have too much subscriptions and like other
I'm
shit. I'm
looking
like, I'm
at
not getting stars.
It's on Prime account, so you guys can watch it.
Wait, it's on Prime?
So I have an extension on Prime where with I think I subscribe to Stars for $5 a month.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So if you guys want it, hit me up. I got you.
That's dope.
I will take you up on that because I have wanted to watch it. So I love Stephen Amell.
Dude, this
I
show
have
is
his
so
Bullet Club
good.
shirt.
It's like if you ever watch the show Friday Night Lights, the football show,
Mhm.
it's literally that but wrestling.
Fuck yeah. Sounds good to me.
It's
Yeah.
very.
That's
I
awesome.
think the
That's
new episode. I think the new episode hits Stars tonight, so I'm gonna be all
All
over
right.
that.
Hell yeah. So I did want to wrap this up with, it's kind of what Bill has been saying throughout this whole episode about how AEW potentially blew their wad all out. Now, we talked about Bray Wyatt potentially coming, and there's also been reports of Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen's contract running out in January. There's rumors of Sami Zayn's or El Generico, if you will, his contract running up somewhat soon. I think it's like the next month or so. So if we get those are another huge additions to the roster.
I'm not worried about AEW blowing their load. They gave us some incredible debuts, but there's so much more down the pipeline coming. And not only that, they have that forbidden door that's wide open with New Japan, Ring of Honor. So they're going to bring in stars left and right, dude. They are top of the mountain.
I mean,
So
like,
I actually thought of this the other day too. Like, I've been saying this, all throughout the pod, but it's, like what you said, Alex, like the forbidden door. It's like, okay, they could bring in KO and Sammy, but it's like they could just like, push them over to like Impact and like, boost their fucking ratings. And like that would be fucking cool because I would watch Impact if KO was on there. That would be awesome. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm so torn right now because I loved all the debuts at All Out. I just hope that they can just keep the consistency up and like make sure that everyone gets fair shake.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that they'll be able to run this perfectly.
I'm just naturally just like, torn all
Skeptical?
the time about wrestling. Just with years and years and years of being fucked over by WWE, I'm just like, please do something well, AEW.
It's
please.
fair. It's fair.
I mean, you still have the in-ring debuts of Adam Cole and Daniel Bryanson still coming. Bryan Danielson.
I completely forgot about that. And Adam Cole is actually going to be on next Wednesday. So
yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, they're gonna play this. They're gonna play this out for a while, and they're still riding high on CM Punk too. So don't forget about that. That's gonna roll them into.
And talk about CM Punk's debut.
Yeah, at his in-ring debut at All Out, which by the way,
he looked a little rusty, but that's to be considered. But
I honestly didn't think it was rust. I think it was nerves. Because he hasn't done this in 7 years. He's on a big stage. Ton of pressure on him. Like, immense pressure on him.
I'll tell you what,
and
Darby...
the match was very, like, methodical and very by the book. Like, just classic fucking, like, methodical wrestling.
That's CM Punk, though.
But, I don't think you would have seen that great of a match if it was him against somebody else. I think
Oh,
Darby
for
Allin
sure.
selling the way that he did for CM Punk made CM Punk look 10 times bigger, which I'm
Straight
not
up.
complaining because obviously we want CM Punk to be a top star and a top wrestler, and we wanted him to be devastating. But I mean, if this was a match against like somebody from the Dark Order or whoever, it wouldn't have that same impact. We were in that arena. I can't tell you how many times we all like gasped and how many times the air just like got sucked in while we're watching Darby Allin take these massive hits, and it just sells it so well. So I want to say that match, even though CM Punk was he won, he's the big man. Darby Allin really won that match. It was all Darby Allin.
100%.
He got over by losing. Like that's
Yes.
the same thing with Kingston. Like they were chanting Darby's name, not Punk's, at the end of that match, which is what's supposed to happen. But
Yep.
did any of you guys see the crazy thing that they paid tribute to, like, in 5 different spots,
Yeah.
the Bret Hart versus
And
123
X-Pac?
kid who was X-Pac,
Yeah.
Sean Waltman.
Yep.
There was 5 spots that they copied exactly as a tribute to that, which was the veteran Bret Hart versus the young kid. And Bret Hart still won, but it was putting over 123 kid.
Oh, yeah.
It was the same exact thing, and I was like, that is such a fucking cool thing to see.
Very
Like
cool.
about that is it was
Yeah, like the spot where he just like Undertaker sits up during the coffin drop.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
we all were dying laughing.
I
at
popped
that. We
hard
thought that was
at that.
great. Yeah, we all did. It was awesome.
And
That's
when
the
he
one.
hit the go to sleep too, and like Darby like just flies out of the
Flop
ring.
Flies
out.
out of the ring. Oh my
It's
god.
like,
It was good.
dude,
Yeah,
I thought
that
that
match
was it. I was
That match was exactly what I wanted, honestly.
It was
And that's
great.
another thing. It's my friend. I had to convince him to watch AEW after a while. He still watches WWE, but he hates it. He's in the same thing. He's like, I don't even know why I'm watching this. But he's now like won over by AEW. But he has not gotten used to like, which AEW's been great at. You can lose, and it doesn't bury you. They have been the prime opponent of that. Hangman Page, Eddie Kingston, Darby, they've done it time and time again. Even Jericho. Jericho's lost a ton.
Mm-hmm.
He
Did
lost
it ruin
3
him any?
times MGF.
No.
it doesn't matter though.
Twice to Orange
At
Cassidy.
all.
It doesn't
3
matter.
times.
Was it 3 times to Orange?
No, 3 times at MJF.
Oh, MJF, yeah. Which I could not believe they made that a shirt.
Jericho lost that match to Orange in the Mimosa match or whatever.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
Genius. So he's still used to like, they lost. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Fine. They are making stars with wins and losses. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even Cody. Cody got demolished by Malachi Black. Demolished.
Malachi's
When he
been
comes back,
strong.
he's still gonna be over as fuck. Easy.
They're setting up they're gonna set up that Rhodes and Malachi match, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Alex
It's gonna be a really
is
good
my
match.
favorite, one of my favorite guys in WWE, and I was so fucking mad on how they treated him in there. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you do not realize how much of an ass kicker this guy is.
Yep.
And now, like,
NXT knew it.
we've watched 3 matches that he's done in AEW now, and it's been incredible
Yep.
because he literally just kills him with the black mass, and it's like, okay, cool. That's exactly how I want to see him presented.
That dude is a force. An absolute force.
I own one of his T-shirts. I love that guy.
Hell yeah. And that was another one. He just got fired in the middle of. He was about
they
to
just
do a program.
They literally just called it. They're like, all right, peace.
Yeah,
See ya.
you got to listen to the Talk Is Jericho podcast with him on.
Ooh, I do need to do that.
He goes over he goes into depth about everything like that and how he was just completely blindsided because obviously he was doing that Dark Father gimmick in WWE. They had just launched it. They had the match with Big E where he was dominant, and then after that it's like, you're gone, bye.
So stupid. Like, what are they doing?
I think they're trying to sell to NBC.
Like, I run businesses myself, and I'm like, I could have done a better way of booking that fucking guy, you know?
like in terms of viewership, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, even Tony Khan said it. WWE and AEW, the majority of the money they're making is not from actual people like us. It's from the
It's TV
actual
deals.
networks and TV deals and other shit like that. And yes, viewership does matter,
But how
but
do the
to a certain
that
point,
paid this money like what they're putting on TV?
it doesn't. But the thing is, though, it's all about
don't
like the
know,
bottom line. Like that's what like the Nick Khan dude that WWE hired. He's ran pet companies like Coke and Universal and like companies that for our intents and purposes, they're making money that most people can't even dream of. And that's what he's trying to do for WWE is get their bottom line lower while they're still making record profits and sell the company. Because at this point, dude, let the wrestlers who honestly the talent on WWE is just as good as AEW to be completely honest. They're just not
Oh, yeah.
showcased or written in the right way. I mean, dude, if you put Roman Reigns, like who I used to hate him until he got cancer again. I'm sorry to say that, but I could not hate the guy that beat cancer. You know what I mean? And
True.
now the whole thing they're doing with him for the past year and a half or the year is amazing. But it's like you could have had that guy for the past 5 years, but instead you had the stupid tagline bullshit that they forced him to say and do.
Yeah.
And like that's what AEW. I mean, like you guys were talking about before. It's like you give these people the opportunity to fail in AEW, and if they don't do good, then they're not going to use them as much. It's like let the people that are the cream of the crop rise up to it. Like Eddie Kingston was viewed as low mid card, and now he's probably going to win a title in Arthur Ashe because I'm speaking it into existence right now. That I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
The future is you could see anybody in AEW winning a championship, and you wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly. They do a very good job of taking their star players and then also building up unknowns.
Yep.
Like Darby, Orange Cassidy, Britt Baker, like the list, Sammy Guevara, the list, Jungle Boy, like the list goes on and on at this point.
Absolutely.
And they're all mad young. So
Yeah.
MJF even. MJF was not at the level in the indies he is now. Like it's only going to continue growing. They're going to find more new people, bring him up. Like even Hangman Page, like we said, he was just like a pretty good wrestler in ROH and New Japan.
Yeah. He was like a background Bullet Club member.
For sure. 100%. Look at him now. He's going to be the biggest star in the company. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Besides maybe like CM Punk or Bryan Danielson, but they kind of had a head start.
We'll table that
15-year head start.
conversation for a later date.
Fair. So before we get out of here, any last thoughts on anything you want to plug? We'll go to Clark first.
My band finally finished recording our new album. It took a long time during the pandemic for a wide variety of reasons, but I'm in a band called Second Death. We're from Valdosta, Georgia. We're going out on tour sometime before the end of the year, and then obviously next year, who knows what's going on. But we have a new album coming out hopefully within the next 4 or 5 months. Second Death is just facebook.com/Second Death. Twitch, Twitter is a Second Death. I think it's 229. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember that. But yeah, just YouTube Second Death or Google Second Death. You'll find it anywhere. And other than that, that's really about it.
Awesome. Bill, what about you?
Just dropped my new line for my brand called Cruelty Club the other day. So it's on Instagram, crueltyclub_crueltyclub.com. The shirts are cool. Pick them up. If you want a discount code, hit me up.
Hell yeah.
The shirts are cool.
That's all I got.
They are cool. Alex, what about you?
Dude, too much to say, but shit. They just I've got couple of bands, couple of clients who are releasing new music coming up. Check out Croesus. They're dropping their new single October 22nd through our new label, which we'll announce at that time. Not saying anything yet. Got my guys in A Light Divided dropping new music coming up this year as well, hitting the road in October. Just a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening right now to get prepared for 2022, coming out of the gate swinging with a lot of booking. I just picked up some cool clients that we're going to get them out on the road, get them into some festivals, get them on the road to some cool tours. I know everyone wants to get back out there playing live music, so let's hope for a better 2022 than a 2020 and 2021.
Fair, very fair. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank everyone for watching. And we'll see you on this show next month. And we'll see you next week, hopefully, with a Shang-Chi review. Until then, see you later, nerds.